and start seeing it as an invitation. It's an invitation to prove not only that you can overcome challenges, but also that you can rise above the noise of negativity. Every time someone questions your ability, they hand you a unique opportunity to demonstrate resilience. They give you the chance to tap into a deeper well of motivation than you might have found on your own. Instead of shrinking in the face of doubt, let it fuel you to push harder, think smarter, and strive further. However, responding to doubt isn't about anger or revenge. It's not about proving others wrong out of spite, because relying on resentment can only take you so far. Instead, use doubt as a lens to clarify your purpose. Ask yourself, why does this dream matter to me? What am I trying to achieve? This reflection transforms doubt from an external force into an internal drive. The focus shifts from disproving others to building yourself. Doubt also sharpens your ability to deal with resistance, and resistance is inevitable in life. People will tell you that you're not qualified, that you don't have the experience, or that the odds are against you. These moments are not setbacks, they are opportunities to practice perseverance. The more you lean into the discomfort of being doubted, the stronger and more resilient you become. Each instance of doubt becomes a lesson in grit, persistence, and self-belief. Finally, consider this: the presence of doubt means you're aiming high. People rarely doubt those who stick to the safe, predictable path. If others are questioning your abilities, it's a sign that you're stepping outside the ordinary and attempting something extraordinary. This realization alone can be empowering. Instead of fearing doubt, welcome it as a signal that you're on the right track. By reframing doubt as a challenge to rise above, you turn negativity into momentum. It ceases to be a weight holding you back and becomes a force propelling you forward. When you embrace this mindset, you don't just overcome doubt, you thrive because of it. Failure is often viewed as something to be avoided, something that signals weakness or inadequacy. Society conditions us to believe that mistakes are shameful, that falling short is an indication we should stop trying. But this perspective is fundamentally flawed. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is an essential part of the journey toward it. By redefining failure as a learning tool, you not only remove its power to intimidate you, but also unlock its potential to transform you. Every failure carries a lesson, a stepping stone that, if properly understood, moves you closer to achieving your goals. When you fail, it's tempting to internalize that experience as proof of your limitations. It feels personal. You might think, this is just who I am, or I'm not capable of doing better. But failure isn't a reflection of who you are, it's a reflection of what you did in a particular moment. This distinction is critical. Failure is situational, not permanent, and certainly not defining. If you can separate your identity from your performance, you create space to analyze what went wrong without letting it erode your confidence. Failure is also a remarkable teacher because it exposes gaps in your knowledge, preparation, or execution. It shows you exactly where you need to improve. Success, on the other hand, can sometimes mask these weaknesses because it doesn't force you to confront them. When everything goes smoothly, you don't question your approach or dig deeper into why something worked. Failure compels you to do that work. It pushes you to ask, what can I do differently? What can I learn from this? In this way, failure becomes not just an outcome, but a tool for growth and refinement. One of the most valuable lessons failure teaches is resilience. It conditions you to face adversity and keep moving forward. Every time you fail and get back up, you're building mental and emotional toughness. This resilience becomes a key differentiator between those who achieve their goals and those who give up at the first sign of difficulty. Failure is not the end, it's the forge where strength is built, where you learn to withstand the pressure and come out stronger on the other side. It's also important to understand that failure is universal. No one who has ever achieved greatness has done so without failing, often repeatedly. If you study the lives of innovators, leaders, and visionaries, you'll find that their successes are built on a foundation of failures. The difference is not that they avoided failure, but that they refused to let it stop them. They understood that each setback was a lesson in disguise, a chance to grow, adapt, and come back stronger. Failure, when approached with the right mindset, shifts from being something to fear into something to embrace. It's a necessary part of pushing boundaries and striving for excellence. If you avoid failure, you avoid risk, and if you avoid risk, you avoid growth. By redefining failure as a tool for learning, you empower yourself to take bold steps forward. You give yourself permission to experiment, to stretch beyond your current abilities, and to transform setbacks into stepping stones. In this way, failure becomes not an end, but a powerful catalyst for success. True success begins with an understanding that your worth, your potential, and your accomplishments are not determined by the opinions or validation of others. Far too often, people fall into the trap of seeking external approval, using the praise or recognition of others as a measure of their value. While it's natural to want acknowledgement, relying on it as the foundation of your motivation is a fragile approach. It makes your sense of achievement dependent on forces outside your control, leaving you vulnerable to criticism, rejection, or even indifference. The antidote to this is self-validation, the unwavering belief that you are enough regardless of external opinions. When you shift your focus inward, you gain the power to define your own standards for success. This doesn't mean ignoring feedback or dismissing constructive criticism. It means separating your core sense of self-worth from the judgments of others. Self-validation requires you to set clear goals that resonate with your values, your passions, and your aspirations rather than goals designed to impress or please someone else. In doing so, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of seeking approval and instead root your efforts in a deeper sense of purpose. Building self-validation is not an easy process, especially in a world that constantly broadcasts other people's achievements and highlights your own perceived shortcomings. Social media, peer comparisons, and societal pressures all contribute to the false narrative that your worth is tied to how others perceive you. Breaking free from this narrative requires discipline and self-awareness. It demands that you take a step back and ask yourself, am I doing this for me, or am I doing it for the applause? This honest reflection is the first step toward reclaiming your autonomy and focusing on what truly matters. A key aspect of self-validation is learning to trust yourself. Trust that you have the ability to navigate challenges, make decisions, and learn from mistakes. This trust doesn't come from pretending to have all the answers, but from knowing that you are capable of figuring things out along the way. When you trust yourself, you become less reliant on external reassurance and more confident in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Another crucial element is practicing self-compassion. There will be moments when you fall short, when you doubt yourself, or when things don't go as planned. In these moments, it's easy to be harsh on yourself, echoing the doubts of others in your own mind. But self-compassion reminds you that imperfection is part of the human experience. It allows you to acknowledge your efforts, forgive your missteps, and keep moving forward with resilience and grace. When you learn to validate yourself, you become unstoppable. You no longer waste energy trying to prove yourself to people who may never understand your vision. Instead, you channel that energy into pursuing your goals with focus and determination. This shift doesn't just lead to greater personal fulfillment, it also makes your successes more sustainable. When your motivation comes from within, it's less likely to waver in the face of setbacks or criticism. Ultimately, self-validation is about reclaiming your power. It's about realizing that you don't need anyone's permission to pursue your dreams, that your worth isn't defined by the opinions of others, and that the most important voice in your life is your own. By focusing on self-validation, you build a foundation of confidence and purpose that no external force can shake. Success is not achieved overnight, nor is it the result of a single extraordinary moment. It is the cumulative effect of small, consistent efforts repeated day after day. The idea of prioritizing consistent effort over immediate results is not just a practical strategy, it is a mindset, a way of approaching your goals with patience, discipline, and resilience. This principle challenges the common misconception that progress must be swift or dramatic to be meaningful. Instead, it emphasizes the importance of steady, incremental growth, which ultimately leads to significant and lasting achievements. In a world that glorifies instant gratification, it can be difficult to embrace the long game. We are surrounded by stories of sudden breakthroughs and overnight successes, but these narratives rarely reveal the years of hard work, perseverance, and failure that preceded those moments. The truth is that most meaningful accomplishments are the result of consistent effort over time. Whether you are building a career, developing a skill, or working toward a personal goal, the process requires daily dedication, even when the results are not immediately visible. One of the most challenging aspects of this principle is maintaining motivation when progress feels slow or imperceptible. It's easy to become discouraged when your efforts don't yield immediate rewards. But this is where the value of consistency shines. Each small action, no matter how insignificant it may seem in the moment, contributes to a larger picture. Every step forward, no matter how small, moves you closer to your goal. The key is to trust the process and remain committed, even when the results are not yet apparent. The consistency also creates momentum. The act of showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it, builds habits that become second nature. These habits compound over time, amplifying your efforts and accelerating your progress. It's not about making huge leaps, it's about taking one step at a time, repeatedly and relentlessly. Over weeks, months, and years, those steps add up to extraordinary progress. This principle applies to everything from mastering a skill to improving your health or achieving financial stability. Another benefit of prioritizing consistent effort is that it helps you build resilience. The journey toward any meaningful goal is rarely a straight path. There will be setbacks, obstacles, and moments of doubt. When you commit to showing up consistently, you develop the mental and emotional strength to push through these challenges. You learn to focus on the process rather than the outcome, which allows you to stay grounded and avoid being derailed by temporary setbacks. Moreover, consistency fosters a sense of discipline and self-respect. Every time you honor your commitment to your goals, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of achieving them. This builds confidence and a deeper sense of purpose, which in turn fuels further effort. It's a positive cycle. The more consistent you are, the more progress you make, and the more motivated you become to keep going. Ultimately, prioritizing consistent effort over immediate results is about playing the long game. It's about understanding that true success is not a single event, but a process, a journey that requires patience, perseverance, and dedication. By embracing this mindset, you not only increase your chances of achieving your goals, but also develop the character and resilience that will serve you in every area of your life. Success becomes not just a destination, but a way of living, rooted in the daily actions that define who you are and who you are becoming. There is a profound power in action. Words may inspire, debates may challenge, but it is action that creates tangible change. To lead through action, rather than argument, is to embody the principles you stand for and let your efforts speak louder than any explanation ever could. Far too often, people become consumed with the need to justify themselves, to convince others of their worth or the validity of their goals. But the truth is, arguments rarely change minds as effectively as results do. When you focus on action, you take control of what you can influence your own behavior and the outcomes you create. Leading through action begins with understanding that you don't need to prove yourself through verbal persuasion. In fact, trying to argue your way into recognition or approval often diminishes your energy and focus. Words can only go so far, they lack the weight of lived reality. Action, on the other hand, is undeniable. It's difficult to refute someone who consistently delivers results, someone whose achievements speak volumes about their discipline, dedication, and competence. When you prioritize action, you naturally dismantle doubt, not by debating it, but by rendering it irrelevant. This principle also shifts your energy away from seeking external validation and redirects it toward tangible progress. When you lead through action, you're not waiting for others to believe in you or support your vision. Instead, you take the initiative, demonstrating through your efforts that you are serious about your goals. This approach not only builds credibility, but also inspires others to take notice, often without you needing to say a word. Moreover, action has a compounding effect. Each step you take creates momentum, building on itself over time. People are drawn to momentum. They respect and admire those who make things happen. When others see you consistently showing up and delivering, they begin to trust your capability, even if they initially doubted you. This trust isn't earned through explanations or promises, it's earned through evidence, through the quiet persistence of your actions. Focusing on action also fosters personal growth and self-respect. Every time you take decisive steps toward your goals, you strengthen your belief in your own abilities. This self-belief becomes a source of confidence that is far more powerful than any external approval. You don't need to convince yourself or anyone else with words, because your actions confirm your commitment and capability. Leading through action is particularly powerful when facing criticism or skepticism. In these moments, it's tempting to respond defensively, to argue your case or justify your choices. But arguments often escalate into unproductive conflicts, distracting you from your real work. Instead, let your results serve as your response. Achievements speak a universal language that even the harshest critics cannot ignore. This approach also sets an example for others. When you prioritize action over words, you inspire those around you to do the same. You show that success is not about what you say you'll do, but about what you consistently deliver. Your behavior becomes a silent yet powerful message that motivates others to rise above excuses and focus on what truly matters. Ultimately, leading through action is about aligning your intentions with your behavior. It's about proving your dedication not through what you claim, but through what you create. By focusing on action, you free yourself from the need to argue, defend, or explain. Instead, you channel all your energy into the work that moves you closer to your goals. This not only solidifies your own success, but also leaves a lasting impact that speaks for itself.